his swing is not bad. So that's fine. A little bit more hip snapping could be cool, but one thing that I always see that people do with the kettlebell swing is they kind of like load it a little bit with the shoulders. So it looks like a little bit of a ballistic high pull or a ballistic upright row. And what happens here is most of the time is the hips do not do most of the work and the arms are still aiding too much. And this is something that happens. Grüezi miteinander, Gregory von Lebe here. You guys always tag me on Instagram stuff or you send it to me where people are doing kettlebell exercises and you want me to review them. It's almost like meme review for the OGs who remember it, but it's kind of like kettlebell review. So let's check out these exercises. And if you're interested in learning more about the kettlebell, you're a beginner, you're just getting started and you want to get a head start, I have the perfect solution for you. It's called the Kettlebell Code. This is my ebook and I can give it to you 100% free. You find it in the first link in the description. The first video is from the legend Juji Mufu. I just happened to stumble over it on YouTube. So I think Juji Mufu is a real life street fight character or street fighting character from the video game. Guy's buff, guy's flexible, guy's strong, dude can do somersaults and backflips. And I think he was very athletic when he was young. And then he built this crazy physique. And the exercises that he shows right here are awesome. We used them as well for upper body and shoulder mobility. I love it. But let's focus on the kettlebell swing. So let's check this out. So his swing is not bad. So that's fine. A little bit more hip snapping could be cool. But one thing that I always see that people do with the kettlebell swing is they kind of like load it a little bit with the shoulders. So it looks like a little bit of a ballistic high pull or a ballistic upright row. And what happens here is most of the time is the hips do not do most of the work and the arms are still aiding too much. And this is something that happens all the time with bodybuilders and strength athletes who get into kettlebell training for the first time. I'm not saying that Juji Mufu never swung kettlebells or did any crazy stuff with them. I think he has. But the key issue with kettlebells is keep your arms loose. And that's a 24 kg. I mean, that's a solid weight for this guy. He's a monster, so he could swing heavier weights. But the key is keep your arms loose. Let your hips do almost 90% of the work. And forget about this old school mantra of always trying to keep the arms elevated. You don't have to, because if you do, you focus on doing the exercise rather with your shoulders instead of using your hips. So keep the arms loose because the kettlebell does not travel forward, it travels upwards. So the next exercises that we're going to look at is from an Instagrammer. His name is OCKY Cuz. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And he shows a couple of exercises and I want to react to them individually. So the first thing that he does is this crossover lunging with crossing the kettlebell between the legs. Now, what I like to do is just walking lunges in general, and you can rack the kettlebell either in a rack position or having it in a goblet position. You don't have to twist it between the legs, because when you do lunges or forward lunges, walking lunges, you already have to resist rotation. Your body already has to do some stabilizing and anti-rotation work, so that crossing is not necessary. He turns the hand-to-hand swing then in a clean and then in a side-to-side squat. Now, the hand-to-hand swing isn't even that bad. So again, I see a little bit of more arm work, and it's a 24 kg, so at least he's using some good weight. And now, of course, the hand insertion. So when you rack a kettlebell, you want to insert your hand as deep as possible inside the window of the kettlebell so that the lower horn or the lower part, the lower corner, sits deep and connects with your forearm bone. In that case, here's not the case. The kettlebell rests like a dumbbell. And that's what many people are used to when they swing or rack or clean kettlebells for the first time. They grab it like a dumbbell. The kettlebell has to be moved and treated differently. Never flare the elbows out like this. Always keep them close to the body. It's like you're defending yourself in combat sports. And now when you do a side-to-side squat, what I would like to focus you on is to make sure that your opposite leg is fully extended, fully straight, and then you get a stretching effect. I actually like the idea, cleaning the kettlebell up and then do a side-to-side squat. Good stuff. This is a gorilla row. I like how he turns it up with the palm facing forward, which has a little bit more biceps engagement. Good stuff. And these are 32, so he's using solid weights. And these crossing exercises, now hear me out. If you do it in a kind of bodybuilding sense, where you want to do an alternate variation of an upright row with some twisting, if that is your goal, you might hit your delts in that area and might get some effect because you're lifting it up and switching it side to side. If I would want to do something for the anterior delts, which I've stopped doing because I'm not a bodybuilder, but if this would be my focus, I would focus on the whole shoulder and do presses, but I wouldn't do these rotating stuff exercises. You can do it, but never think for a second that they grant you any additional benefits than the basics can grant you. This is important to note. And then we have the next exercise. That jumping around that ice skater with a bell, that might give you some conditioning. But again, if I was looking for some conditioning with kettlebells, it would be swings and snatch. Swings with bands. Now, this seems to be a contention point in the kettlebell sphere. I'm not a fan of this. First of all, for the setup, I don't like the setup if the band snaps away from your legs or away between your feet because you lift your heels up and then the band detaches from that position. Yes, I get the extent that when the bell's up at top level, at the chest level, that you have this pulling going back. But guess what? Where do you feel the pull the most? In your shoulder. And the swing is a hip dominant exercise. Ooh, double high pulls, that's good stuff. But I would swing the bells between the legs to get my body, to make sure that I can use my body to catch the brunt of the weight and then pull it back up. Yeah, that rotation is absolutely not necessary, and staying in the lunge position or the split squat position again is not necessary. So mixing a couple of the exercises all together to make it look more functional. Here's the key. You either press, you either split squat, or you either do farmer's carry to resist rotation. That's what I would do. And yeah, a nice hand-to-hand swing, that turning inside of the leg, not necessary again, but the hand-to-hand swing is powerful. One of the best exercises that you can do with the kettlebell, has so many benefits. And if you're wondering what type of kettlebell I'm using, it's the Pro Kettlebell. The best kettlebell on the market, period. We are working hard to making it available in the EU, Switzerland, as well as the UK as soon as possible. We have a waiting list in the description where you can get notified once we open up shop. Check the link in the description to get 10% off your next purchase and use the code LEBE at checkout. So here's the next thing that you have to do. Clean and press that like and subscribe button. Share with a friend who's also interested in kettlebells. And if you made it this far, download my free ebook in the first link in the description called the Kettlebell Code. If you're over 40, 50, or 60, you don't have a lot of time, but you still want to take care of your fitness, this is where the kettlebell comes in. And I'm going to give beginners especially a shortcut to success. So what are you waiting for? Download that ebook right now in the first link in the description.